The first James Bond film by Amazon MGM Studio finally has a director in the person of Denis Villeneuve, the stellar, powerful director with of such films like Dune and then Sicario and the powerful movie Arrival. And also moving on to another big movie news is the Social Network sequel, which is going to be directed by Aaron Sorkin, the award winner of the first movie in terms of screenwriting. These and more right here on the Film Mandate. I'm Papa O2. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. And thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate. So, beginning from with my very first story, South Africa's cinema chain, Ster-Kinekor, is sort of re-releasing the films Shrek 2 and Psycho back into their cinemas. And then this story has been published in an article that I would like to share with you. And so this is the article is published in the on the website Hypertext, and it reads that Psycho and Shrek 2 return to South African cinemas. So I read, if you have a preference for older movies instead of current releases, or you are simply sick of paying the high prices for new theater tickets, you should pay attention to Ster-Kinekor, which is playing reruns of Psycho right now. When Lasinos, real estate clerk Marion Crane, goes on the lam with a wad of cash and hopes of starting a new life, she ends up at the notorious Bates Motel, where manager Norman Bates cares for his household mother, reads Ster-Kinekor's description of the 1960 classic. Directed by the unmatched Hitchcock, Psycho is famous for its shower scene that has traumatized bathers for many decades now. The re-release of Psycho is part of the Ster-Kinekor Throwback cinema promotion, which the theater chain has been running for a few years now. Aside from making movies available on the big screen, it also makes them cheaper to see, with tickets costing 50 Rand per person. As we discussed in a recent article on saving money on these, tickets in South Africa cost around 3 times that price right now. If you'd like to see Psycho in theaters, we recommend booking soon. Throwback cinema titles are not available for very long, and we have even seen some titles removed from showings with no notice. When Lawrence of Arabia was playing back in April, we missed our chance to see it because of this. You can head to the Ster-Kinekor website now to book your ticket to Cycle. We lastly have to mention that the next throwback cinema title is Shrek 2. It will be back in cinemas from 27 June, with the original Shrek already re-released earlier in the year. We have to wonder if all the movies from this franchise will get the treatment before Shrek 5 arrives in December 2026. So that is Ster-Kinekor's information about their reruns of films like Psycho and Shrek 2. And these titles are actually very good. Psycho influenced a whole slew of horror films following up after this 1960 release. And the master Alfred Hitchcock is such an adept, film director, and his films have influenced other films, down the line after he's made them. And Ster-Kinekor have been trying, just like any other cinemas around the world, they often do reruns or re-releases of films that are classics. and this is to help with the cinema going culture, particularly for those who cannot afford to buy the main tickets and still have to see these big films, these classic films or even other films on the screen in the cinemas. And by talking about main tickets, I'm talking about tickets of new films that are being released. And just as the article said, a ticket tickets to new films are quite expensive. For this particular one, you're talking about for Ster-Kinekor in South Africa, you're talking about 150 rand, which is three times the price of the reruns that they are doing at the moment. So for those who cannot afford to buy tickets at those prices, but still want to have the cinematic experience, even though it may not necessarily be the films they would have wanted to watch, it still gives them or affords people the opportunity to go to the cinemas and watch films that otherwise they couldn't have afforded. And so I think it is indeed a good thing, in the right direction. Perhaps someday when things get better and but it's never going to happen where tickets to new films will reduce that much to 50 rand or within that range. And so we could only hope that once in the lifetime of everyone, you get opportunity to go into the cinema to watch a movie, because the experience of watching films in the cinema is different from watching it on a screen in your own home. So it is indeed something laudable that the technical cinema chains of cinemas are doing. And hopefully, if you get to see this information or you see it on their website, I think you should go and watch a film or two in the cinemas as well. And I like the fact they are showing Shrek 2, which is far different on the opposite spectrum of Psycho. Psycho being a horror film and live action, and then Shrek being an animation and also more family friendly. And it is very, I mean, for more family friendly and also very funny, comedic compared to Psycho, which is very gritty, dark horror and very, I would say even R-rated, because it's very dark. It's a very dark story. So I like the blend of these two that they'll be doing. However, they will not be showing at the same time. After Psycho, I think a few weeks or months later, they will be showing Shrek 2, which is exciting. And for those who may not know, Shrek 5 is in the works. So maybe this is a good time to show it to whip up people's interest towards the film, which will be released in December 2026. I think so, December 2026. They all actually showed Shrek 1 some time back. So Shrek 2 is what they are embarking on now at the moment. So moving on to one of the biggest stories now in Hollywood. I would even think in terms of you have the Fantastic Four coming up, and you also have Superman coming up. But in terms of one of the biggest directors in Hollywood at the moment, or in the world at the moment, is none other than Denis Villeneuve, a French Canadian director who have been pulling out such phenomenal, productions that we've been seeing so far. He's currently working on Dune 3. But this news just came up, and it reads that Denis Villeneuve to direct next James Bond film. The Dune director will take on the inaugural 007 movie for Amazon MGM Studios. And this is written by Mia Galupo and Boris Kett. So Denis Villeneuve is going from Dune to 007. The filmmaker has been tapped to direct the next James Bond movie, the first from Amazon MGM Studios. Tanya Lapointe, Villeneuve's artistic partner and wife, will serve as an executive producer. As previously announced, Amy Pascal and David Heyman will serve as producers. Some of my earliest movie-going memories are connected to 007. I grew up watching James Bond films with my father ever since Dr. No with Sean Connery. I'm a die-hard Bond fan. To me, he's sacred territory. I intend to honor the tradition and open the path for many new missions to come, said Villeneuve. This is a massive responsibility, but also incredibly exciting for me and a huge honor. Pascal and Heyman added, Denis Villeneuve has been in love with James Bond movies since he was a little boy. It was always his dream to make this movie, and now it's ours too. We are lucky to be in the hands of this extraordinary filmmaker. Bond is one of the most sought after franchises for filmmakers. Reportedly, directors who met for this film also included Edward Berger, Wright, and Paul King. Villeneuve has was last in theaters. Sorry, Villeneuve was last in theaters with Dune Part Two, which earned over $700 million at the box office and several Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, winning Best Sound and Best Visual Effects. Currently, he is in prep on the third Dune film, which is scheduled to shoot this summer. It's unclear when Bond will begin production, but the search is underway for a screenwriter who will work with Villeneuve to bring the newest incarnation of the secret agent to the big screen. The new Bond will mark the franchise's 26th title and the follow up to 2021's No Time to Die, which was directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga and served as Daniel Craig's swan song as 007. This film will also mark the first Bond outing following Amazon's 8.45 billion takeover of 007's long-standing backer MGM. In 2022, Amazon acquired MGM, which allowed the tech entertainment company the rights to distribute all future James Bond films. But until this year, there was little movement due to the impasse between Amazon executives and the longtime shepherds of all things Bond, Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. In February, it was announced that Wilson and Broccoli were pursuing a deal with Amazon that would allow the studio to control the creative on future productions. So, yeah, this is exciting news. Let me just read the last paragraph, which says that Hopkins, head of Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios, commented, "We are honored that Denis has agreed to direct James Bond's next chapter. He's a cinematic master whose filmography speaks for itself." So, yeah, and the last paragraph is that in a 2021 episode of the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Villeneuve said, "I would deeply love one day to make a James Bond movie. It appears that day has come." So it is indeed one of the exciting news for all film fans and particularly those diehard fans of 007. Denis Villeneuve is such a special director. He is in the sense that every movie he makes, it's like he has the Midas touch. Whatever movie he makes literally turns to gold. It may not be as box office juggernaut hit like that of James Cameron's films, but all the same, he whatever movie he does actually is it's a classic. Let me put it that way. It's a classic. Every film I've watched of his, from Arrival to Prisoners to Sicario, is such a thrill. Blade Runner, which didn't receive much, critical reception as his other films, for me was still a classic. And I've loved every film of his. One of the things he brings to every film is some air of, I don't know whether to say seriousness or the you every film of his, you take it serious. You when you watch this film, you know it's a film done by an auteur director with receiving such treatment that you would hope every director would do with their films. And every film he does, you could tell and see on screen that he's putting in his very best, and his very best is always very, very good. That is what I can say. And he currently now he's one of few directors who have consistently delivered good films, good, well directed, produced films. And I think in his, I would say even, yeah, Christopher Nolan may be a notch up than he is, but he is within that range. And to tell you the truth, when you watch Dune, that film, he directed it so well. He directed it so well, and it's such a classic, from the production design to the way he's able to create that chemistry between his characters. It's excellent. It's so excellent. So I'm excited that the Amazon MGM studio, in their first outing, is proving that they are taking this franchise or this IP very, very serious, very, very serious. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I couldn't be more happier to have him direct. There were even rumors that Christopher Nolan wanted to direct it some time back, but with Christopher Nolan, he wants total creative control. Perhaps he would have gotten it with MGM Studios, um, Amazon MGM Studios, since they now have the total creative control over this property to go in whichever direction they want. Maybe in some time, in some future, Spielberg will get his shot at it, but I don't know how long that is going to be possible, unless perhaps they're going to create a cinematic universe with other installations in the offing, which I doubt they would want to do that, because the tradition of James Bond has always focused on 007, James Bond himself, rather than having spin offs. So maybe, yes, there's going to be a time where they may create series and stuff, but you wouldn't want to waste Spielberg on series or spin offs. You would want him to do the main thing. But regardless, you have another, to have Denis Villeneuve direct it is really, a win already. It is really a win already. And honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when it's going to release, because currently he is working on Dune Part 3, which is going to be the last in the, that for him, who he has already declared that Dune 3 is his last offering in the sandbox of the Dune, franchise. So meaning after this, he's done with Dune. And then now that we know that he's going to focus on James Bond, I don't know whether he's going to do a trilogy to, for his entire, run in the Amazon MGM. But I think we'll take it one after the other. So after this, we'll know the way forward. But there couldn't be a better choice for this, franchise than Denis Villeneuve. Yes, there are other capable directors that can helm this and do it very well. But I'm excited that Amazon, with their choice of director in Denis Villeneuve, is proving that they are taking this even more serious than perhaps the Broccolis have done. And with the last outing, I'm sure they want to do something very different. I think other outlets are reporting that it's likely that the one who will be casting, whoever they are going for, should be in his 30s, and which, just as I reported yesterday, the youngest actor so far was George Lazenby, who was around 29. So I still don't know which direction they may be going in, but for whatever direction they are going in, particularly with having Denis Villeneuve, embark on this franchise or helm this franchise, I think it's a win already. So I'm looking forward to it. Just as I've looked forward to every film of Denis Villeneuve, I'm excited about this one as well. So yeah, come whichever year is released, perhaps 2027, I think the excitement will shoot through the roof. Yeah, so it is indeed exciting to have Denis Villeneuve helm the James Bond. And I don't know what you think about it. Do you think it's the best choice they've made so far? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. So moving on from one mega hit of a franchise to another movie is the Social Network sequel, which have been circling the news, cycles for a long time. And finally, we have a confirmation that the Social Network sequel is in the works, with Aaron Sorkin writing and also directing for Sony. And David Fincher was behind the first film, which won Sorkin an Oscar for adaptation screenplay. So this written or published in the Hollywood Reporter, and the writer is by Aaron Couch. So Aaron Sorkin is plotting a return to Facebook, the screenwriter behind the social network, has written a sequel script he intends to direct as a feature for Sony, the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. The first social network movie was based on Ben Mesrich's book, The Accidental Billionaires, while the sequel is inspired by a series of articles Jeff Horowitz wrote for the Wall Street Journal known as the Facebook Files, which were published in October 2021 and explored the harms caused by the social network. Todd Black, Peter Rice, Sorkin, and Stuart Besser are producing the sequel. Jesse Eisenberg earned an Oscar nomination in a career-making role for the social network, in which he played Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. It is unclear if he will reprise the role for the sequel, though it's hard to imagine someone else stepping into Zuckerberg's Adidas sandals. David Fincher helmed the first film, which earned 8 Oscar nominations and won 3 statues, including adapted screenplay for Sorkin. It earned $226 million globally and remains a cultural touchstone, with memes involving Eisenberg's Zuckerberg, Andrew Garfield's Eduardo Saverin, and Justin Timberlake's Sean Parker still making the rounds. Sorkin has spoken of trying to write a potential sequel in recent years, noting that he blames Facebook for the Capitol riots on January 6, 2021. There's supposed to be a constant tension to Facebook. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Yeah. So that is the news for, I mean, it is one of the exciting news to read about. And then even though they are changing hands, Aaron Sorkin has proven to be quite a formidable director with his films like Molly's Game and The Trial of the Chicago 7. I think he's directed another one too as well. But one thing you cannot take away from Aaron Sorkin is that he is a very good writer. I mean, I would even dare say that perhaps he's one of the best writers that exists today. One of the very best writers that exists today. And he's had his foray in television. I mean, talk about West Wing. And he also has had his, obviously in the TV, in the film arena as well. So it is indeed I think for Sony, or yeah, for Sony to have chosen him to pen the second script is quite genius because he actually won for the first one, and who better to understand this property than Aaron Sorkin? And I think Aaron Sorkin is the best choice if David Fincher, since David Fincher will not be returning to direct this particular one. So to have him step in the role to direct this one, indeed, I think is a win already for the social network. And just as the article said, it looks like they'll be working, or the source material for this particular film will be the social network files, which was written by, I think, Mr. Horowitz. And so it will be going in a different direction from the first one, which happened to be how Facebook came about to be established and the lawsuits Zuckerberg faced when his former partners leveled certain, I mean, accusations against him. So in this one, I'm sure definitely it will be the aftermath of the establishment of the business of Facebook, perhaps more into the meta era where he's established this conglomerate of a business where he has the now other social media outlets as part of the main brand. So you have WhatsApp, Instagram, and other businesses as well. But it definitely is. It's not going to really happen without certain controversies that has come over the years. So just as the article said, I'm not sure is going to include it in it. The January set riot that Aaron Sorkin is claiming is the fault of Facebook or Zuckerberg, but I'm sure it's going to delve into other aspects of his life that it's public knowledge now, though. It's public knowledge now, though. So I think we are yet to see the direction in which it's going to go in. But the question would be, can Aaron Sorkin follow up in that cinematic, stellar direction of David Fincher for the first film? That's the question that is, I mean, yet to be answered. Even though, I mean, we've seen his works that he's capable. If you check Molly's Game that involved Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba, he directed it so exceptionally well. But with the masterpiece of David Fincher, would his direction for this film match up to it? And that's what I think is going to happen. A lot of critics are going to compare his direction of the second one to that of David Fincher, and I hope that that will necessarily not be the case. He would have his own style and direction. But one thing that I think may not augur well for the production, should it happen, is for Jesse Eisenberg not to reprise his role. In as much as that, I mean, it's happened before where films may bring another person to reprise the role of another, of the same character, but usually that doesn't happen to the main, you know, stars of the movie. And Jesse Eisenberg himself is a director now and writer, so I there whether his schedule will be cleared for this production is what we are what we are anticipating now, whether he's going to have the time, because Alent is working on a production around the same time that this is likely to shoot. So hopefully, I'm hoping his schedules will be cleared so that he comes back into the same role and and perform, take upon the role of Mark Zuckerberg, because he did exceptionally well. And I'm hoping, I don't know how, I'm not sure the other characters like that of Andrew Garfield's character will be coming back in this, since he's parted ways with Mark Zuckerberg years ago, and then also the other former partners. So this would be looking forward towards his, role in the aftermath of the establishment of Facebook itself. So I'm actually looking forward to it, but I'm hoping he comes back. Just Eisenberg comes back to take upon the role of Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm actually imagining or wondering who will be playing other roles that for the other characters that may show up in this film. Perhaps it may even involve Donald Trump as a character as well. I mean, not him as well, but his character. I mean, the role, somebody taking upon the role of Donald Trump and other congressional, uh, people in real life as well. So it will be quite interesting to see what Aaron Sorkin would have for this particular, sequel, the direction he's going to go in, and then definitely what we know for now is that is a social network sequel, definitely involving Mark Zuckerberg, and it will be quite interesting to see the direction, the directorial prowess of Aaron Sorkin, in addition to his screenwriting ability for this particular project. So yeah, this is quite a big news, and I've loved Aaron Sorkin's writing so well, and his movies have done well. I want to see how this would also look like when he finally, you know, wraps up production and it's shown in the cinema. So yeah, this wraps up my stories for the day. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any thoughts or comments concerning Aaron Sorkin directing the social network, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And this wraps up my session, my presentation for today's episode of the Film Mandate. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I'll be coming your way again with another episode of the Film Mandate. I'm Papa Otu, and see you soon.